What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports with me, Sam Cardona. Thank you guys all for listening today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. NFL Week 3 just went down. Some news just broke this morning. Today is Tuesday, September 29th. So some things that are a little shaky went down this morning, and we're going to get into that right after my little intro. But in the meantime, gotta do my shameless plugs as per usual. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Google Podcasts and Amazon Music and basically everywhere that you can get a podcast, as well as to my YouTube channel. Hello, YouTube. If you were unaware, I have a YouTube channel now, The Girl Who Talks Sports. It's real easy to find. You can subscribe there, as well as clicking those little bell icons to turn on notifications so you know when I upload a new video. Sometimes I'll throw in a little fun extra video that is also including the full-length podcast recording, so in case you don't want to just listen and you also want to watch, you have the opportunity to do so. Finally, we have our Twitter. Don't forget to follow the Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. I post updates there and funny memes and retweet stuff and things like that. So don't forget to give the Twitter a follow. And I believe that is everything that I usually shamelessly plug in the beginning of all of my episodes. All right. So let's get into today. Before we start with NFL Week 3 and like we usually do on the show, start off with all the scores, there was a few notifications that I got this morning, which are kind of sad, to be quite honest, in every retrospect of this entire situation. I got this notification about 10:30 this morning that 3 players on the Tennessee Titans tested positive for COVID-19. And obviously this sucks for games and the league, showing that it is possible for people to get sick despite all of their efforts and all of the protocols that they have put in to basically make sure that everybody stays safe. However, it is possible that COVID can infiltrate the NFL. So 3 Titans players tested positive. Both the Titans and the Vikings have suspended their in-person visits and their facilities are shut down, all that kind of stuff, which, you know, it sucks, but that's the best way to do it, is just to make sure that nobody becomes in contact with any other person that can possibly infect somebody else. I don't think that they release the people's names who have COVID, because I think that would be a little inappropriate. But, so they played, obviously the Titans played the Vikings, on Sunday. I do not remember any days of the week anymore. But so basically they're taking all of the time that they can to make sure that everybody stays safe and that people quarantine and all that good stuff in order to prevent COVID-19 from spreading even more. And I recently, like 30 minutes ago this afternoon, the NFL sent out a this just in kind of thing and basically said that the Titans and the Steelers game, which is supposed to happen this Sunday, as of right now is still scheduled, but it is possible that it can play on Monday instead to allow an extra day of testing. So if everybody comes back negative from every single side of this entire situation, there still will be a game. So I just wanted to throw this out there that yes, the NFL has been doing excellent in terms of controlling COVID in this, and the fact that they're not playing in a bubble is very different than the NBA. So they are traveling, they are going to different places, they are in contact, and it's still possible for people to get sick. So it's really great that they have this protocol where they can make sure that they don't just slow it down, but they also stop the infection completely and that we can continue to have football and continue to keep everybody that's involved in the NFL and all of these teams safe, so that we don't have to worry about not having an NFL season, because I know that that's really important to a lot of people. But first and foremost, it is really important that we just make sure COVID doesn't get anywhere else and that people stay safe and healthy. And to everybody on the Titans who do have COVID-19, I'm wishing you a healthy recovery. Hopefully it's not that bad, but if it is, I really hope that you guys have a speedy recovery and that everything turns out okay. Okay, now enough of gloom and doom. Let's get into today's episode, and we are going to start off our NFL episodes, as we usually do, with our scores. So, Thursday night we had Miami 31, Jacksonville 13, which was kind of surprising to a lot of people. San Francisco 36, New York Giants 9, which is not surprising. Washington 20, Cleveland 34, Cincinnati 23, Philadelphia 23. We will be discussing that one for sure. Las Vegas Raiders 20, New England 36, Chicago 30, Atlanta 26, LA Rams 32, Buffalo 35, Houston 21, Pittsburgh 28, Tennessee 31, Minnesota 30, Carolina 21, LA Chargers 16, New York Jets 7, Indianapolis 36, Dallas 31, Seattle 38, Detroit 26, Arizona 23, Tampa Bay 28, Denver 10, Green Bay 37, New Orleans 30, and Kansas City. I just realized I forgot to write the score down. I know Kansas City won, but I am a dingbat sometimes, and I did not write the score down for this one. Hold on. 34-20, Chiefs over Ravens. All right. And that is our scores for week 3. Now, we have storylines to get into, obviously, and we are going to get into all of that right now. Okay, so let's start off with the Bills, because I myself found myself literally on the edge of my seat watching the Bills game this week and praying that they won, which is obviously, I have never considered myself a Bills fan in my entire existence of living until fairly recently, when I was like, oh my God, a New York team that is good. I'd like to see them succeed. It's really promising. And so I was like, you know what? The Bills are going to be that secondary team that, everybody has that other team where they're just like, you know what? If you guys win, I'm proud of you. So the Bills came out on top, like I said earlier, 35 to 32 over the Rams. Now, they were up 28-3, which is quite the familiar score for Atlanta fans and New England fans. And for New England fans, it is more of a happy score for them. And people were worried that this was going to happen to the Bills as well, because all of a sudden the Rams started cranking their way up and doing their thing. The Rams are an excellent team. They are very, very good, and they weren't just going to go out 28-3. So they started moving their way up. They started doing really well. And they skillfully made their way into the end zone several times to make sure that they were going to win this game. So they ended up getting in front of the Bills, and I was like, damn, the Bills were doing so good. I really thought they were going to win this game. And then the Bills showed up and performed. And I distinctly remember last year, several times talking about this, that Josh Allen, who has a special place in my heart because of that 2018 draft class, because I loved everybody in that 2018 draft class, Baker Mayfield obviously being top of the list there. Josh Allen just he was struggling so much last year in the fourth quarter, specifically within the last 2 minutes of the game, and wasn't able to basically get his team down the field and score and win a game in which it was very, very close. And I was like, God dang it. Josh Allen's going to mess this up. Like, he can't perform. And then he did. He did a fantastic job, to the point where defenders are trying to take him down. He's pushing the defenders to the ground, doing these amazing things, which we talked about last week as well. And this kid is insane. He actually, on this play that I'm referring to where he's taking down defenders, right at the end of the game, he ended up getting a face mask penalty, which cost them 15 yards. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, that's it. The Bills are done. We're not doing it anymore. They're completely finished. But then he was still able to get the ball into the end zone. There was also a flag that was involved. They ended up getting down. They ended up scoring and winning the game. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible, because I really struggled to see Josh Allen struggle last year during these fourth quarters, not being able to commit and finish up his games. But it obviously seems that he worked on that, and he was able to finish this game and come out on top 35-32. And I was so proud of him. In the second that he scored that touchdown, like he threw that touchdown pass, I was like, yes, they're going to win the AFC East. I'm telling you right now, because he also has extrapolated stats, which basically means like people do a bunch of research and whatnot, and they figure out what the possibility of the stats are going to be for the rest of this season. That's what extrapolated means, like basing something off of things that already happened that are going to happen in the future. So I found this thing that said his extrapolated stats are 53 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Oh, like, that is impressive, extremely impressive, which, again, not something that is like immediately going to happen, but could possibly happen. Again, he had that face mask thing. He's a big kid. Same thing that we were talking about with Justin Herbert last week. They're big guys, and like the fact that, yes, these defenders are enormous, like they can take you down, but having a big quarterback like that who can't be taken down easily is extremely valuable. And it just made me so happy to see the Bills come out on top and win this game. Now, I'm a little nervous for their next few games. They are 3-0 right now, but they are going to be playing the Raiders, the Titans, and the Chiefs. What are their next 3 games? So, might struggle just a little bit, especially with the Titans and the Chiefs. The Raiders, I think it'll be a good game. I just think that, we saw Patrick Mahomes last night compete against Lamar Jackson, and that was, we will get to that later. So basically, but their 4th game after all that is the Jets. So I think that even if they do struggle a little in these next 3 games, they'll have a nice game to kind of make up for it. So that is what's going on with the Bills right now. All right, let's keep going on. And speaking of 28-3, right? We were talking about the Falcons, and last week the Falcons, they disappointed. They really did. And the Cowboys, whew. And as a Giants fan, I hate to see the Cowboys succeed, but they did a phenomenal job. Dak Prescott did a great job getting the ball down the field and able to kick that field goal to win 40-39. That was just a chef's kiss. Beautiful, very beautiful. But the Falcons did it again. The Falcons did it again. They had back-to-back losses when they were up by 15 points. 15 points. Then they score for the first three quarters. They do so well. And then the fourth quarter comes around and they just kaputs. Dan Quinn, like I said, he was on the hot seat last year. They were able to come back. They won like 5 games in a row, and Dan Quinn didn't lose his job. But I gotta say, 2 weeks in a row where your percentile of winning was 98 to 99%, and you still lost? Dan Quinn. You better start figuring some stuff out, sir. That's all I gotta say about that. So, like I said, they do so well in the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, they score no points. No points at all. And they're playing the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears, as we know, had a bit of a character change, didn't we? Nick Foles, the man, the myth, the legend, Big Nick Foles. He comes in, Trubisky gets benched. Nick Foles, who has been called the starter for next week, by the way. Matt Nagy said that Nick Foles is going to be starting. And I heard a very good point made on, and I'm going to mention the Dime podcast again because the Dime package, because now they're like my new favorite thing. I was listening to them today, and Fran made a really good point where she said, Nick Foles is an excellent backup quarterback, but he cannot be a starter. And I think that is a really good way of putting it, that in Philadelphia, he literally brought them to the Super Bowl and won as a backup quarterback. Then they get him in Jacksonville. He tries to start. It just doesn't work out. So his mindset is different sitting as a backup QB, that he is able to do so much better. So the thing here is that they come in. Nick Foles comes in. They're trailing by 16 points. Nick Foles scores throws 3 touchdowns, or they score 3 touchdowns. I don't know if he threw for 3 or threw for 2. Either way, they scored. And there was even a crazy call where he threw something, they said it was a touchdown, and then they changed it and called it an interception and a touchback. Anyway, the Bears are 3-0, but they are probably the worst 3-0 team right now. They are like weirdly in 3-0. It just seems like they don't belong there, but they are. So it's very strange. The Falcons are playing these Bears that we don't even know if they're good or not yet. Nick Foles, their backup comes in, and they lost. And I was like, oh my God. I saw a diagram that said, where does it hurt? And for the Atlanta Falcons, it was like around the head, and it was just like headache, and then it was around your stomach, and it said stomach ache, and then the whole person was filled in, and it said Atlanta Falcons feel pain everywhere. And I really feel sorry for you. I really do. I can't even imagine having 2 games like that back to back. Not even like 2 games in a season. Literally back to back. Like that I can't even imagine. And I'm a Giants fan, and we lose all the time, and I can't even imagine being a Falcons fan right now. It's the hope. It's the hope that they give, and then they take it away. They take that hope away, and it just, I can't. Okay, anyway, so real quick, Mitch Trubisky, just like a fun note that we're going to throw out there that people have been talking about for a while now. Mitch Trubisky was chosen over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson lost this week. I will give them that. But Mitch Trubisky was chosen before both of those quarterbacks in the draft, which is crazy to think about. And Trubisky is so weird because he fluctuates so much. Like sometimes you're like, oh my God, Mitch Trubisky, look at him out here doing so good. And then the next minute you're like, oh my God, Mitch Trubisky, go away. Like, I can't, it just, the struggle seems so real with the Bears. But they're 3-0. I don't know if they're good or not yet. But the Falcons, I think we can check off the struggle bus checkbox. And the Bears, unsure. Like, other option. We don't really know what's going on right now with the Bears, but the Falcons, I worry for them. Let's go on to probably what's going to be a little ranty at this point, and that's the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles tied their game 23-23, and I'm not just upset because Joe Burrow deserved that win. I will explain, okay? What's worse than a tie? Ties suck. I'd rather lose, to be quite honest with you, because a tie basically is like you never even played that game. It's not a win. It's not a loss. You just didn't play a game. You have one less game than everybody else, which I'd just rather have a loss at that point. And I hate the 3 numbers when they show the records. It's stupid. They have a tie, okay? What's worse than a tie is a tie that is accepted in a game, okay? The fact that the Eagles did not kick their ball to try and score or toss it down the field, just like Carson Wentz, just like, you know what, I'm going to shut my eyes, throw this ball, and see what happens. There wasn't even that. They punted it and then just ran the clock down. And there's nothing worse than a tie where, basically you lose a game than people just saying, okay, guess we're going to tie this game. That's so stupid. My second point in all of this is that ties should not be allowed. Ties in the NFL are the worst thing in the world. And I have mentioned this in the past that this was not my idea. But an old coworker of mine told me that what they should do is that at the end of overtime clock, when the clock is over, and they haven't scored, and they're in this deadlock of, 23-23, you go into field goal penalty kicks. You keep backing the kicker up, they keep kicking it, and whoever gets them, how fantastically wonderful would that be? I would watch every second of that. The fact that there's ties makes it just not fun. Have you ever heard of double overtime? Just play another quarter. I know they get tired. And I know at that point they've been playing for 4 hours. But ties just really suck. Get rid of them. Abolish all ties in the NFL. Seriously. We should not have ties. Okay? Also, like I said earlier, Joe Burrow, he deserved that win. And I may or may not have stopped breathing when he got hit by Malik Jackson and he went down on the ground. And I was like, oh my God, no. This man cannot be out of the season already. I will not allow it. I cannot allow it. I would be so flippin' upset. But he was fine. Joe Burrow's fine and everything is okay. But they're 0-3 and every single time they've been so close. And I know he's a rookie. I know that, he's struggling because it's his first year, but he's not. He's doing so well. He's just on the Bengals. Of all teams, he's on the Bengals. So that just, I could go on for hours probably about how much I hate ties in the NFL. I really do. They suck and they're not fun. And now the Eagles and the Bengals have a 1 thrown on their record that means absolutely nothing. Just get rid of them. Get double overtime. Get field goal penalty kicks. Do something. Just don't let them tie at the end of the games. It's so dumb and I hate it. And I'm going to stop repeating myself. The only thing that I'm going to talk about from the New England game is the Cam video meme. If you have not seen it, oh my God, it's perfect. It's a video of Cam sitting on the bench and he gets told some preposterous thing, it seems, by one of his teammates sitting next to him, and he just slides down the bench and ends up on the floor. It is the best thing I've ever seen. I absolutely love it. I literally tweeted it, no context, on my Twitter, and I was just like, this is it. This is all I need. It is exactly just, it probably just it shows exactly how everybody's feeling about everything at this point. 2020, It is what it is. But they did win over, who do we got here? Why did I write the Rams? Nope, it's not the Rams, it's the Raiders. The LVR and the LAR really messed me up. But the Raiders, they won over the Raiders, and which was interesting because people really thought the Raiders were going to come out on top after that win against the Saints. But New England did win. But I still stand by my Bills winning the AFC East. So that's that on that. The Chargers lost to the Panthers without Christian McCaffrey, which was quite impressive, I must say. The Chargers are a bit confusing at this point, and I understand Justin Herbert is a rookie. I understand that, and I know that Anthony Lynn was all about Tyrod. Tyrod can't play right now. He got stabbed in the lung, basically, by a painkiller. He can't play right now. He's having trouble with his chest. And Anthony Lynn was like, the second he's healthy again, he's going to be our starter. And last week, we saw Justin Herbert do some phenomenal things, make some rookie mistakes, but put up a fight against the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. But then they lose to the Panthers. And to be quite honest, it confused me just a little bit because it's not even like top tier Panthers. Their star wasn't even healthy enough to play. And yet they still won. And I don't know if Justin Herbert was almost like, last week he was taken off guard and he was like, oh my God, I gotta play, I gotta do good. And he like somehow pulled it out and was able to do it. But I'm unsure of what happened here. I'm still on team Justin Herbert, I gotta say, because the kid seems fantastic. I really want to see him do well. Just this loss to the Panthers without Christian McCaffrey, and they're also a very new Panthers team. Maybe they're starting to find their groove with Teddy Bridgewater and Matt Rule. But I'm very just a little perplexed on how the Chargers could almost beat the Chiefs and then lose to the Panthers. It's very confusing. But Justin Herbert, fun fact, has a higher quarterback rating right now than Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees, and Phillip Rivers. So that's fun. That's a fun little tidbit for you. And in this game, he threw 49 times. He threw the ball 49 times and completed 35 of them, making him, giving him a 71.4% completion rate. So throwing the ball that many times, that's pretty crazy. And we know, like, from college, he loves the shot put. He does not stand under center. That's like not what he does. But maybe he throws so much, maybe he feels more comfortable that way. But I think that if he does learn to sit under center and hand the ball off a little bit more, they have Austin Eckler as their running back. I think that the Chargers could be a little bit more powerful if he gets more comfortable with that. So that's what's going on with the Chargers. The Browns pulled out another win. They have a winning season for the first time since 2014. To put that in perspective, I graduated high school in 2014, and even though I look like I am in high school, I am not. I'm 24 years old. So for me, that's a big deal. I know people ask me all the time. I get ID'd at bars constantly, basically everywhere. They're like, you are not allowed, you cannot legally drink. And I'm like, yes, I can. I was born in the 90s, I promise. So anyway, the Browns pulled out a win against the football team. The football team also is still in the top of the NFC East, which is a garbage division. Such trash. Anyway, and Odell did this weird thing in this game. This is the one thing I want to mention from this game, in that Odell basically acted like a defender instead of trying to catch the ball. And I get, like, I understood where he was coming from, and it was probably the best thing to do, but he basically, like, batted the ball out of the defender's hand who was going to intercept it. And again, that's good. It's really fantastic. And then he, like, celebrated afterwards. But, like, that's not your job, so you're supposed to catch the ball. So I was just a little confused by that. But again, it was a good play. It worked. But, batting the ball, like, at least make the attempt to maybe try and grab it a little bit more, because that is what your job is to catch the ball and not be a defender. But if the best thing for him in that moment was to bat the ball out, that works. And they didn't get an interception, which is great. it was just very strange. I was like, huh? Why is Odell a defender now? Like, what in the world? Anyway, moving on to the 0-3 Vikings. Don't know what's going on there. Maybe they'll get their groove at some point. Kyle Rudolph, however, is in his groove with a fabulous one-handed catch that he did during this game. Whew, like somebody said, I think it was Boomer on Monday Night Football, said Christmas came early and it's Kyle the red-nosed reindeer kind of situation. I'm really digging that. I really like that a lot, and it was a beautiful touchdown. And I believe last season he had a very similar touchdown as well. I remember him having like an outstanding one-handed or one-toe, one-foot situation type touchdown that was also very beautiful. So Kyle Rudolph seems to be in his groove. The Vikings, however, do not. On the other hand, 3-0 team, the Steelers. The Steelers are doing fantastic. Are they still struggling a little bit? I think they're still a little wobbly. They're not like, oh my God, the Steelers are never going to lose. But I would not be surprised to see the Steelers in the playoffs this year. So that's real exciting. Again, on the other end of the spectrum, tossing it back to the Jets, 0-3. Sam Darnold had 2 pick sixes in this game. Adam Gase is on the hot seat. I don't think we're going to see Adam Gase next year, but the Jets are going to jet. It's just, at this point, it's just going to be like that. But Sam Darnold, we see him do some really great stuff sometimes. Like, it's weird. Sometimes he throws these beautiful touchdowns or beautiful throws and does like, whoa, like, who knew Sam Darnold could do that? And then he throws 2 pick sixes and everybody's like, yeah, okay, I get, like, come on, Jets. I want to see the Jets win. I really do. In my lifetime, I'd like to see the Jets do well. Tampa Bay won. They're the first in their division right now over the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons. And, it's makes sense, to be quite honest. I have them in the NFC Championship game playing the Packers. However, I do not think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be in the Super Bowl. However, I think the Bears are in the AFC. So what would be crazy is if Nick Foles brings the Bears to a Super Bowl and Tom Brady does end up getting in the Super Bowl and it's like a Tom Brady-Nick Foles standoff again. Whew, that would be wild. That'd be good content right there. But I do think, I don't know if I ever mentioned on my podcast, I know I definitely put it on the podcast Twitter, that my Super Bowl prediction is Chiefs-Packers. The State Farm Bowl with Patty Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but that I will mention it now. So, again, I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may or may not make it to the NFC Championship, but I do not think they are going to win. But nonetheless, they're still a fantastic team and winning their division. Which brings us to the Saints. And the Saints, with Drew Brees playing the Packers on Sunday Night Football, was a great game. A shootout, fantastic, like really entertaining. However, Aaron Rodgers did come out on top. He threw 2 beautiful passes. I think both of them went to Lazard, who has a fantastic last name. A 48-yard and a 72-yard pass. They are just beautiful. Aaron Rodgers is in the zone. For real. Aaron Rodgers is just doing fantastic. They did, the Saints defense is really good, and they made sure that they were still able to keep it very, very close game. However, at the end of it, it was the Packers who came out on top. Alvin Kamara, though, oh my God. If there's anybody on that team right now that is really bringing it home, even though they haven't won their past 2 games, without Michael Thomas, I understand how they can be struggling. However, Alvin Kamara has not only stepped up in the run game, but he is also a target. Like, they're throwing to him. And he had 171 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdown catches, and a beautiful 52-yard run. So Alvin Kamara is just out here busting his butt and just doing fantastic for the Saints. However, Drew Brees, I know I mentioned last week that like we shouldn't be talking about this, but Drew Brees is 41 years old. I don't think he's washed up. I don't think he's in that category, but he is getting older, and that's definitely a factor, obviously. But I don't think we should write the Saints out just yet. I still think that they're going to be able to come back and kind of start dominating just a little bit, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still might win that division. The Seahawks, they came out on top against the Cowboys, which made me very happy. Russell Wilson is making the case to be an MVP 100%. 5 touchdowns in this game, just absolutely dominating. He's so good. And people were saying last year he should have won over Lamar. But, I mean, Lamar did some incredible things and I think definitely deserved to win MVP. But Russell Wilson is an outstanding football player and should definitely be considered for MVP this year. However, the one thing from this game that I am very upset about is the DK Metcalf play where he got the ball punched out of his arms as he trotted into the end zone. It's one of my biggest football pet peeves. Whether the defender is literally, I just smacked my microphone. But even if the defender is literally on the other side of the field and you are in your end zone, you commit and finish running into the end zone. I don't care. I don't care if there's literally nobody else on the field but you. You run into the end zone, you get the touchdown, and then you can celebrate. But the fact that he started celebrating before he passed the line, started trotting, the Cowboys defender came from behind him, punched the ball out, and he didn't get that touchdown. And I was like, why would you do that? I swear, it's one of my biggest football pet peeves. Commit, finish the play, get the touchdown, and then do all the celebrating you want. I love celebrations. I have an entire segment about it, even though we're not doing it today because people are still disappointing me with their football celebrations. Don't celebrate before you've passed the line. That's just simple as that. And this is just the perfect example of what could happen if you do that. And DK Metcalf is, I'm sure punching himself because of it. I know he had a great rest of his game anyway, but still, come on. Do not do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, okay? Thank you. The Lions came out with a win with a last-second field goal over the Cardinals, which was a big win for them. The Giants still cannot win, even though they were literally playing San Francisco's practice squad and Nick Mullins. I don't understand why, but still can't get the win over it. And they were tied at 6 points for a while, and I was like, well, okay, maybe we have a chance. And I even thought in the beginning of the day, I was like, you know what? They're playing a very injured 49ers team. It's very possible. We could win. But we did not. Also, the turf at MetLife is completely fine, and it was just the 49ers. Okay, MetLife is completely fine. Finally, Miami put up real early and scored in basically every quarter, including, field goals and stuff. And Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for 2 touchdowns, 160 yards, 18 out of 20 completions. Some really great stuff out of the Dolphins we saw, and I really thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to win this one. All I have to say about the Chiefs-Ravens game was that everybody really thought that the Ravens were going to win this game. I was expecting a phenomenal game, 100%. But I still thought the Chiefs were going to win this game. Patrick Mahomes, oh my God. He was phenomenal. Actually, I didn't write down any stats or anything for this, so I'm just going to look up really quick what his stats for this game were, because Patrick Mahomes, score after score after score after score. And Lamar too. Like, Lamar did not have a bad game, but you could definitely tell the Ravens struggled a little bit, and it seemed like Lamar was really there by himself. Like, he was taking the ball all the time and running it, and I know he's a running quarterback, but like, you can't run every single ball. You have an entire team. You are not a singular player. And I love Lamar. I love him. I think he's fantastic, but the Ravens just could not compete against this Chiefs team. They are so good, which is why I think they're going to make it to another Super Bowl, like, no problem. Let's see here. I'm on the NFL app right now, just looking at, they don't give me any stats. What the heck, man? I definitely should have written them down. Oh no, this thing's talking to me. I definitely should have written them down. Anyway, basically, Patrick Mahomes scored all the time. Like, he just impresses me all the time, and it was a great game, though. Really good game. But by the end of it, like, by the fourth quarter, I was just like, they're going to win. The Chiefs are going to win. The Ravens are not going to come back, and the Chiefs are going to win. And they did. So that is NFL Week 3 in a nutshell. I've been ranting for quite some time about it, but let's get into our segments for today's show. So first things first, our first segment on the show, and my favorite segment on the show, Tea Time. Tea Time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into hot, steamy gossip of the sports world. And this week, if you're watching on the YouTubes, I have a mug. And it is a mug given by one of my very best friends, Sarah Crawford. And it says it's MFing tea time. I'm not going to say it because I don't swear too much on this podcast. But this is going to be what I drink out of now every time we do our tea time. So, that's good. So, I have my tea time mug, and gonna hold on to it while we do our tea time for this week. And this week's tea time is very interesting, actually. I don't know how hot and steamy and gossipy it is, but the event itself is pretty crazy. So our tea time for this week has to do with Hall of Famer Joe Montana. And Joe Montana literally wrestled a intruder in his house from kidnapping his 9-month-old granddaughter. So crazy. This is what happened. A woman, later we found out that her name was Sadse Dalzell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she basically, I don't know what her mental state was at during this time. However, she basically walked into Joe Montana's house, which is in Malibu, California. She picked up his 9-month-old granddaughter out of her playpen and was just holding her. And she was still in the house. She didn't, run out the door or anything like that. Basically, Joe Montana and his wife Jennifer found her, and they tried to de-escalate the situation. Did not really work. And basically, they started having what I've read on every single article I've read about this, a quote-unquote tussle. They tussled for the child. Jennifer, Mrs. Montana, basically was the one that took the child out of this woman's arms. And this whole situation is, when I got the notification for this, I was like, what in the world is this? Like, literally, it was just like Joe Montana and wife, tussled with captor of grandchild in his Malibu home. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, are you sure? It was such a weird thing. Basically, this woman fled to another house. Like, she eventually left their house and ran to somebody else's where she was taken into custody. And Joe Montana put out this very nice tweet eventually that said, "Thank you to everyone who has reached out. Scary situation, but thankful that everybody is doing well. We appreciate respect for our privacy at this time." So, Joe Montana, Jennifer Montana, heroes, basically. And I know that our tea is not as spicy as it usually is, but I had to talk about this because this is so crazy. And when I mentioned it to my mom and my dad, they both were like, wait, you mean like the Joe Montana? Like Joe Montana that we know, Joe Montana? And I was like, yeah, that Joe Montana. Like the catch Joe Montana. Like the man, the comeback kid. Him. But they were just like, damn. So anyway, so that is our tea time for this week. I'm so glad that Joe Montana's granddaughter, oops, sorry, I just knocked over my helmet. Sorry about that. I'm happy that Joe Montana's granddaughter is okay and that they were able to de-escalate the situation and that everybody's fine. And I'm just gonna put this back here. Okay. And that is our tea time. That's our tea time for this week. Sorry for that loud bang. I apologize. So that is our tea time for this week, and we are going to move on to our next segment, which is our Let's Talk About It segment. So this week on our Let's Talk About It segment, we have some discussing to do. So this week, we are going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' new uniforms. Yay. Okay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, as we've seen with the new dynasty, or not dynasty, but their new era, I should say, with Tom Brady, they decided to go and just revamp everything. They got rid of those stupid alarm clock numbers that they had on their jerseys. To be quite honest with you, I did not like those at all. They got brand new jerseys, and they've looked pretty nice from what we've seen. However, this past week, they were wearing their first type of uniform that was pewter, which I was told is the color. My brother told me that it's called pewter, which is basically like a silvery gray, and I just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't like it, and to me, it looks like a mix between gray and brown with like a little bit of green in it, and it looks like poop. I will not lie to you guys. It looks like poop. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. I think the whole thing is weird, and I don't think they should wear them anymore. It's like, I know that they're trying to work. So I have a Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet here. So I might as well, if you're watching on the YouTubes, you'll be able to see. All right. Tampa Bay's Buccaneers colors. It's like this silvery gray color on their helmet, right? That is technically called pewter, which I did not know. I thought that it was just silvery gray. But, I mean, this is an older helmet. But this is the same kind of color that they're going for here. But I just like, it looks nice on the helmet. It doesn't look brown on the helmet. It literally looks like baby poop. If I'm like going to be completely honest with you. I don't think that the full, like if they were using accents of it in some way, I think that would be cool. You know, if they did the full black or the full red or something like that, or, you know, even white. I think that it would have looked good if they wanted to have like a color rush situation, but the pewter just does not look good. I don't like it. I don't like how it looks. I think it's ugly, and not as ugly though as the alarm clock numbers. I gotta put that out there. It's not as ugly as the alarm clock numbers, but the whole color thing, I really like the jerseys that they drew up and they now have. But these pewter, the full pewters, even if it was like just the pants, maybe it would work. It's just the fact that both the jersey and the pants and the socks are all pewter. And also like pewter? What kind of name of a color is pewter? Pewter. It sounds like pew, like P-U. Like Pepe Le Pew. Pewter. I'm literally ranting about a color right now, so you can see where my life is at. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the color does not work for me. It works on the helmet. It works maybe in socks or pants, but I like their just other jerseys that they've been wearing a lot better. And the pewter, it's a no. It's gonna be a no from me, dog. That's all I gotta say. All right, tweet of the week. Let's get into our tweet of the week this week. And actually, little asterisk, our tweet of the week this week are tweets of the week. Because last night I saw another tweet that I liked, and we're going to have 2 tweets of the week this week, which I think will make up for at another point in time where I've definitely haven't had a tweet of the week, or I forgot, or I couldn't find one. So we have 2 tweets of the week this week. Our first one, I'll do our the one that I decided to pull up last night. I saw it last night during the Monday Night Football game, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta talk about this. So this is tweet number 1 of our tweets of the week this week. So it's actually Randy Mahomes, which is Patrick Mahomes' mother. And her @ is Toot Gale. And the tweet reads, "If this announcer doesn't stop calling my son Pat, ugh, I may scream. LOL, #help," and tagged ESPN, NFL, and ESPN. So, which is hilarious because they mention it to Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game, and they're just like, hey, like, do you know that your mom was basically like, I don't want them to call him Pat? And he kind of, which the tweet itself is very funny, but he kind of cleared it up that he was like, well, he's Patrick Mahomes II, so his dad is actually Pat, and he's Patrick. So his mom hearing the ESPN announcers call him Pat is not his name because his name is Patrick. So I thought it was really funny. So every once in a while, I call Patrick Patty Mahomes. I hope, Randy, that is not a bad thing since that's not his dad's name. But if you would prefer for me to call him Patrick, I 100% will. So that is our first tweet of the week this week. And our second tweet of the week, we're bringing it back to the dime package yet again. Our second tweet of the week goes to Miss Casey Smith, who's one of the co-hosts of the Dime Package. So last week, we actually talked about it last week on our Tea Time. We were talking about Jason Whitlock, talking about all of these women in sports and basically like they're too pretty, or they're pretty and they get jobs because they're pretty. I don't know, some crap like that. And the Dime Package ended up talking about the same story. So some guy, quote, like, responded to the tweet in which they have the clip of them talking about Jason Whitlock and all this stuff. And he posts a picture of Casey, and it's like, quote, journalism. And it's got her in this beautiful white skirt with like a white crop top that's like a set with these beautiful heels on. And I was like, what? So Jason Whitlock, here's our tweet, said, "Is this promotional material for the Dime Package podcast? ? And this is Miss Casey Smith's comeback. She said, "Nope, it's a photo from my personal Instagram that's private from a night out in LA. I'm assuming if you have a problem with my outfit, since I talk about sports for a living, not sure what your point is here, other than only being able to talk about women's looks." You tell him, girl, okay? Oh my God. The man had the audacity to do it again, and Casey Smith said, no, not today, sir. Not today. So those are our tweets of the week this week. I hope that makes up for any other time where I didn't have a tweet of the week. Finally, we have our feel-good story of the week, which is some more women empowerment stuff, and I'm really stoked about it. So our feel-good story of the week this week is that for the first time in NFL history, this has never happened before, there has been a female on each side of the field. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. So it was at the Cleveland game, the Cleveland and oh my God, who were they playing? Who did they win against? Cleveland and Washington, right? The football team. So each of these teams had a woman staff member on their field. And also we had the NFL official, who's a woman named Sarah Thomas, who people have known about for quite some time now. Jennifer King is a full-year coaching intern for the Washington football team. Callie Brownson is the chief of staff for the Cleveland Browns. And of course, Sarah Thomas is the first and only female NFL official in the league. And all three of them were at one game. So this is the first time in NFL history that we had women on either side of the field and an official. And that is just some groundbreaking stuff. If you don't like women in the NFL, get over it. We're coming, we're staying, and there's gonna be more of us. I promise you. So that is our feel-good story of the week this week. Guys, thank you guys all for listening and or watching the episode this week. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, subscribe, follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere that you get your podcasts, as well as leaving a review, preferably 5 stars on any of these things, especially Apple Podcast reviews. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. You can also subscribe on YouTube, press the little bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos. New episodes are usually out every Wednesday, morning, afternoon, depends on when I have the time, and mostly in the morning though. And you can also follow the podcast on Twitter, TGWTS Podcast. And that is going to do it for us this week. Don't forget to tune in next week to hear me rant all over again about NFL Week 4. I hope you all have a fun, fantastic, sports-filled day, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye!